probably heard this kind of story before. In 1964, a young woman named Kitty was attacked outside her apartment in New York City. Dozens of neighbors saw or heard what was happening, yet almost no one stepped in to help. Some assumed that someone else had already called for help. Others thought surely somebody will do something, and tragically, no one did. That tragedy actually sparked decades of research into what now is called the bystander effect. It's this psychological phenomenon where the more people who are around, the less likely anyone is to act. But the truth is, this doesn't just happen in emergencies like what happened to Kitty. This happens actually every single day in our own lives. We wait for the right time, or we wait for the right opportunity, and we're waiting for someone to notice our potential or someone to give us some permission to move, or trying to come up with some other way that others are going to come in and rescue us. But life really doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who actually lead, and leading starts with leading yourself. Today, on this episode, I want to talk about this bystander effect that could be living inside you. That tendency to wait for something outside of you to change other things. Because here's the thing, if you want to grow, if you want to transform, if you want to lead others, you've got to lead yourself before you do anything else. And here's how it works. Self-leadership actually begins with awareness. Yeah, it's just knowing that there is a problem, or knowing that there is something to accomplish. And the problem is that we can be surrounded by so many people, and other people can see our issues, but can we see our own? Can we see our health issues, or our financial issues, or our relationship issues? And until we become aware that there truly is something to resolve within ourselves, no change is going to happen. We have to become aware of what we need to do. Now, your life doesn't just change because you see the problem. That's not how it happens. Your life doesn't change just because you decided, oh, I'm aware of the issue. I'm aware that I'm way overweight, or I'm aware that I'm financially broke, living paycheck to paycheck. That doesn't change anything. We understand that. But that is the first step. But then it's got to go beyond that. It's got to begin to go to the next step. And I would just simply say this. You're not just aware of the problem, but you decide to own the problem. Take, for example, there was a young girl. I don't really know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not going to even try to attempt. But there was a young girl that lived in Pakistan, and she saw injustice all around her. Like, girls were being denied the right to go to school. And the problem was not just that, but most people stayed silent. But this young girl, she actually was not just aware of the problem, but she decided to take ownership of this problem. Ownership of not waiting for anyone else to do anything about it. Like, she wasn't waiting for someone else to come and fix the problem. What she actually started to do is she started to take responsibility, and she began to speak up and speak out of what was going on. Now, this courage actually sparked a global movement for education. And the crazy thing was, the problem had already existed. The problem was always there. It just took some young girl to actually recognize that this is my responsibility, not someone else's. Here's the thing. Self-leadership begins the moment you stop saying, I'll start, or maybe I'll do something, maybe I won't. But no, you actually say, to yourself, I'm actually going to own this problem. I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm not just going to be aware, because awareness doesn't change anything, but I'm actually beginning to take responsibility so that it can lead to the next part of this. And that is, man, responsibility so that growth can occur in our own lives. That is where transformation begins to happen. Listen, most people blame, they point fingers, they complain about their circumstances, people, or their past. But responsibility actually means that you're going to stop waiting for someone else to save you, and you're going to fix you. You're going to motivate you, because self leadership is the radical acceptance that your growth is your job. Look at Howard Schultz and Starbucks, and the company is collapsing. And he could have blamed the economy. He could have blamed bad management or external trends. Instead, the guy took full responsibility, shut down thousands of stores for retraining, admitted public mistakes that had taken place, and led a comeback that actually saved the brand. He didn't wait for a rescue, he became the rescue. Listen, that's what responsibility looks like. And the same is true for your life. No one is coming to fix your habits. No one is coming to build your discipline. No one is coming to rewrite your story. No one is coming to help you in a financial crisis. The only person that you need to look at is you. And when you self lead yourself, you accept responsibility, because leaders accept responsibility. Now, you've got to become aware. You've got to become responsible for leading yourself. But the third thing is simply this: you've got to act, right? Action is what turns responsibility into results. Like, you can know what's going on, you can know what to do, and you can still stay stuck. You can plan, you can dream, you can visualize, but until you actually move, nothing changes. I love this story. It's a great picture. Probably many of us are familiar with the story of David and Goliath, right? A young shepherd boy and a giant that's about 9 feet tall. And he's taunting this whole army, and everyone sees the same problem: a giant that seemed impossible to defeat. The whole entire army is froze, right? They've got the bystander effect going on. They're waiting for a better moment. They're waiting for a better leader. They're waiting for a better plan. They're waiting for someone to do something. But David sees the same problem and has a completely different mindset. He didn't wait for confidence. He didn't wait for their approval. He didn't wait for a better day. He didn't wait for the giant to go to sleep. No, he actually decided that he was going to act. He was going to take responsibility, because he saw the problem, he was aware of it, and he was going to move into action. And that single decision for him to act, man, it changed everything. Not just for him, but for everyone watching. Listen, that's what happens when you lead yourself. You give permission for others to do the same. Leadership, listen, leadership isn't a spotlight you wait to stand under. It's a match that you strike that lights the room for others. And personal growth works the same way. Listen, you don't need the perfect timing, motivation, or a personal plan that guarantees success. You need to just get moving. Progress does not live in comfort, it lives on the edge of action. And so, can I say, you can't lead others if you're still waiting for someone to lead you. Responsibility is freedom because it puts your future back in your hands. Waiting for motivation, that's the fastest way to lose momentum. Growth begins the moment you stop waiting and you stop moving. Which brings me to the final story I want to share with you. It's a devastating story of the cost of waiting, of the cost of the bystander effect, assuming that someone else is going to do something when we're actually called to be that someone. It was in 2011 in southern China where there was a young girl, 2 years old. Her name was, I believe you say this, Wang Yu. Her nickname was Yu Yu. And this young 2 year old girl actually wandered into a busy street. And unfortunately, she was hit by a van. The driver hesitated. And then he drove off, running the kid over again. Now, that is heartbreaking, but what's even more heartbreaking is what happened next. The security footage, as they're watching it later, showed 18 people walked by. Some looked, some stepped around her. Even a woman carrying her own child just kept on walking. Finally, there was a trash collector that seen her out in the middle of the road, pulled young Yu Yu to safety, and finally called for help. But by then, it was a little too late. Little Yu Yu didn't make it. When the story hit the news, people everywhere asked, how could so many people see and do nothing? That is the bystander effect in its rawest form, but it's also what happens inside of us, where we see need to change. We see what needs to happen in our own life, but we keep walking past, waiting for something else to move first. Don't let your story be, I saw it and I did nothing. I saw that I needed to get healthy and I didn't do anything. I saw that I was in financial ruin, living paycheck to paycheck, and the stress of it was hurting my finances and hurting my relationships, and I didn't do anything. I seen that, man, I was spiritually bankrupt and I didn't call out. I didn't do anything. I saw the need for God, or I saw the need for something to change in my life, but I just walked by. I didn't do anything. So here's the challenge for you this week. Number one, identify one area that you've been waiting for something outside yourself: motivation, confidence, permission, perfect timing. Write that down. And then take one small action today. Listen, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it can move you forward, because you've got to learn to lead yourself, and that will set everything else in motion. We've got to stop waiting for the world to change, and you have to start changing your world. And when we self lead ourselves, everything else begins to change. Listen, don't let the bystander effect cause you any more pain in your own life.